If anyone still hopes to catch a glimpse of President Paul Biya alive, they will have to wait for perhaps the next world, not this one. ABS sources have once again confirmed that the real issue preventing the authorities in Yaounde from presenting Biya to the public is not merely his alleged incapacitation, but a more decisive reality. The number one position in Cameroon is now vacant, and it must be filled. In recent days, even pro-Cameroon government media outlets like France 24 have subtly confirmed that there is indeed a power vacuum in Yaounde. Over a week ago, various ministers began issuing press statements claiming that President Paul Biya would return in a few days. Yet, as the days have turned into weeks, his presence grows more conspicuous, his absence grows more conspicuous. One of the last visible signs of Biya's return, in quote, came in the form of a high-power motorcade seen leaving the Yaounde airport allegedly a day ago. But the sight of two ambulance vehicles within the convoy raised more questions than answers. The convoy followed reports that a Luxembourg ambulance flight from Geneva en route Yaounde, supposedly carrying the ailing or diseased Biya, was sighted. Conflicting reports have since emerged, with some claiming that the plane was headed elsewhere, while others insist it landed at the VIP wing of Nsimalen Airport in Yaounde. The speculation surrounding Biya's condition or Biya's whereabouts, dead or alive, only intensified when the motorcade's destination remained undisclosed, and Cameroonian authorities have offered no explanation. Not even the state-run CRTV has been permitted to broadcast any updates on Biya's status. What remains indisputable, though, is the fierce struggle now unfolding over who will fill the vacuum left in his absence. Sources within Cameroon's capital have disclosed to ABS that high-level meetings are taking place both day and night at the presidential palace in Yaounde. The days ahead are dark, and why I can't say for sure when or how things will play out. Something big is coming. End of quote. A source in Yaounde told ABS today. Other reports from military personnel have also confirmed that they are receiving anonymous messages. Soldiers are receiving anonymous messages instructing them to mobilize their units and be ready to defend the colors. End of quote. One officer told ABST today, I quote, the military is preparing to intervene if the politicians try to interfere with the succession process. End of quote. Meanwhile, Biya's immediate family remains far from Cameroon, reportedly alternating between Paris and Geneva. Their frequent travels have only deepened the public suspicion that the true issue at hand is not the president's health, but the looming question of who will take the reins of the nation. Biya is not leaving behind just a fractured country. He is leaving behind a $1 million question of succession. According to the country's constitution, in the event of the president's death or incapacitation, the Senate President, Marcel Niat Njifenji, should step in as interim leader. However, in this case, Niad himself is reportedly too frail to assume power, leaving the country in an even deeper political crisis. The next in line, Abubakar Abdoulaye Ray, was recently summoned to France and Geneva, sparking rumors that he may be playing a role in discussions about the country's future leadership. It is no secret that France has played an influential role in Cameroon's politics for decades. And as Bia's reign comes to an end, French interests in the region have once again taken center stage. French officials have been heavily involved in discussions about Cameroon's future, and there is widespread speculation that they will attempt to handpick the next leader of Cameroon. This possibility has sparked outrage among Cameroon's political elite, some of them at least, and then opposition parties too, and even factions within Paul Bia's ruling CPD and party. Many Cameroonian citizens view France's involvement as a direct affront to Cameroon's sovereignty and fear that French interference will further exacerbate the country's political instability. Adding to the complexity of the situation is the unresolved conflict in the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Several high-ranking officials in Yaounde, they believe that the succession crisis should not be settled until the conflict in Ambazonia or with Ambazonia is resolved. They have argued that the interim leader must prioritize, note that interim leader must prioritize peace negotiations with Ambazonian leaders before organizing any elections that would install a permanent precedent. However, this view is not shared by everyone. France, with its deep-rooted interest in Cameroon, is unlikely to wait for such a resolution. French officials are keen on seeing a quick succession process to protect their economic and political investments in Cameroon. There are whispers that as soon as Bia's death is officially announced, the French will move swiftly to ensure that a successor sympathetic to their interests is installed without delay in Yaounde. Behind the scenes, however, the struggle for power is intensifying. Cameroon's political landscape is fractured with multiple factions vying for control. On one side are those who believe that the constitutional process should be followed strictly, with an interim leader stepping in before elections are held. On the other side are those who seek to bypass the constitutional provisions entirely, hoping to install a new leader more quickly and without the uncertainty of a drawn-out electoral process. One thing is certain: the battle for succession will not be straightforward. The absence of a clear successor and the deep divisions within the country's political class mean that Cameroon is facing one of the most tumultuous moments in its modern history. The political vacuum left by Bia's disappearance has opened the door to fierce competition, both within Cameroon and abroad. Several military officers, speaking on condition of anonymity, have suggested that the army may be forced to step in if the political class escalates. The military is watching closely One officer said, if the politicians can't get their act together, we may have to step in and restore order, end of quote. Whether this means a full-blown out military intervention or a more subtle role in the succession process remains to be seen. But the possibility of military involvement cannot be ruled out. For now, Cameroon waits. The streets of Yaounde are filled with uncertainty and speculation as rumors of Bia's death continue to circulate. The government's refusal to provide any concrete information only adds to the growing sense of unease. But while the public remains in the dark, the real drama is playing out behind closed doors. Meetings are being held at all hours in Itudi, we are told, as Cameroon's political and military elites maneuver for power, sources told ABS. Will Cameroon's leaders rise to the occasion and guide their country through this crisis? Or will the political infighting and external interference push the nation deeper into chaos? For now, the only certainty is that Cameroon's future is anything but secure. As for Paul Biya, the former president, the man who ruled Cameroon for more than 4 decades, his final chapter seems to have already been written. The question now is not whether he will return, but rather who will take his place in the corridors of power in Yaounde.